welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host, Elias. This is episode 186. Yep, and we got somebody back, someone very, very worthy, in my honest opinion. That's why they come back. They're worthy. They are just, the few, some of them have invited back. They respond, some haven't, everybody's busy. I get it. It's not all about me. Can I make it all about me be childish for your entertainment? Yeah, I can. But what's the point of that? That's just for cheap laughs. I don't want to be like Fox News with their cheap ratings just for cheap laughs or anything like that. No offense, Greg Gutfeld.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Probably so long thinking
yeah, there you go. There you go. Attack Greg Gutfeld. There you go. That's how you play the game. Is attack a big name. But let me get to we're talking about something very serious here, and this is something that I have not dived deep enough. But thank God I have a guest that's very well qualified just to go through this conversation regarding the Israeli-Hamas conflict. Yes, we're gonna get deep into this one. All I had was just one episode, me saying we need to have peace. Hamas needs to be gone, and then formally remove Benjamin Netanyahu's power. My opinion, by the way, because I believe he might have some things to do with that, but that's just me. I found some evidence that was very odd for him. And like I said, the people who are paying the most is the innocent Palestinians and Israeli people. They the ones that pay the largest price. It's always innocent. It's always innocent, the ignorant, unwilling, and that's the same with a lot of conflict. The innocent always pays the biggest price, not the two sides who got the guns, the ballistics, the missiles, and all of that. They pay the price, but they're not paying the largest one. I'd tell you that much. And sadly, we have there's so many lives lost. And I would normally like to talk a quick joke about that, but this is a very serious issue. This is developing, and this conflict's already spilling over. But yeah, it's already spilling over. I mean, this doesn't get enough coverage that the Houthis are attacking ships, and that's funded by Iran. Hamas, funded by Iran. Hezbollah, who's I'm pretty sure, I won't be surprised they're already in this conflict, Iran. So we got a con person. And the funny part is, I think that's the wrong word. The interesting part is ISIS, when I runs Afghanistan, share border with Iran, they fight them too. So it's getting very, very dysfunctional. And the lines between there is Arab nations that want to do business with Israel, and they're just those that say, oh, wipe it off the map. We want them gone. The infidels or the demons and all that other stuff. It's a fact. And I do, and I have tried to invite some Muslims to the show. You're welcome to come. So far has been successful, but you're welcome to come. This is the podcast. I want to hear your side as well. This is not, Zionist network. I don't want to be any of those things. I just want to get the most diverse, different perspectives as possible. Because I do agree to some extent the Muslim narrative is not as prevalent in some medias, and I have to call out MSNBC that removed all the Muslim hosts. So you had opportunity just to give the other side, and they removed them. I mean, that's very suspicious in my opinion, at least for the time being when this conflict is hot. And I do support free speech, and free speech means hearing uncomfortable, ugly things that you don't like. If you want to support speech that you like, then you're a communist. What you could do is just walk away, turn off the TV, or just scroll to the next thing. I'm not saying that I wish you hit all sides of the aisle, but some people just love their echo chambers. Okay, if I'm and I'm just gonna use my Latin, I'm Latin, it's like me saying, okay, I only want to pay attention to Puerto Rican stuff. I'm Puerto Rican. Forget everything else. Forget the Americans, forget the Jews, forget the Arabs. Who cares what their conflict? No, that's very small-minded in my opinion. Very, very, very small-minded. So before I get into this, I am torturing DW Duke with his intro. I got into these interesting intros, and he's back. I'm sure he's still a California attorney. That hasn't changed,
of.
right? Oh, okay, very,
Yes.
very good. And you're still, I know you're still doing campaigns and tours and even creating productions based on civil rights and human rights. That part, I'm absolutely sure that you're still working on that. And he's been here before for obvious. He's been in this podcast because he's a very, very worthy guest. So how do you want to start us off with the article? Now, let me shut up and let me let you continue the conversation.
Well, one of the articles that I recently wrote dealt specifically with this whole Palestinian Israel situation and what's going on there. And I've been involved in that about 20 years extensively. I always had an interest in what's going on. But I recall back in, it was 2000 when the Second Intifada started, Yasser Arafat and Saddam Hussein were giving rewards of $25,000 to any Palestinian family that a member of the family would be a suicide bomber. And as a result, between 2000 and until now, they've had about 3,000 Israelis killed from terrorism. So it isn't the story that we always hear in the media that Israel is just indiscriminately bombing Gaza and so on, doesn't portray the whole picture of what's going on. So I wrote an article that addresses the history of the basically Israel since the Jews came back in the beginning of the 20th century up until the present time, and took a big look at the picture. And then we focused most specifically on what we call the modern era. From about 1922 on to the present date, and what happened, and how they became bent on this Slaughter the Jew campaign that was initiated by the Grand Mufti Husseini back in 1922 when he was first appointed by the Britain's High Commissioner, with knowledge, full knowledge of his hatred of Jews and what he was planning to do. Britain appointed him, and the whole thing just went forward with Slaughter the Jew was the beginning of the campaign. A lot of people don't realize, and there's a debate about what his relationship was with Adolf Hitler, because Husseini was in 1941 he had a meeting with Adolf Hitler that everybody knows about. Most people don't know that he had been working with Eichmann from 1937. Started working with Eichmann. Of course, Eichmann was one of the master plans behind the final solution. So Israel, the people, the person behind what was happening in Palestine with respect to the Arabs and the Jews was the person that was involved in the whole thing with Europe and the Nazis. And that's really what it is. The same campaign, which is constantly disparage the Jews, constantly make them look bad, which is what happens throughout history. They had the blood libels and everything. It became very effective. They discovered it was very effective, and that's how Adolf Hitler. A lot of times people say, how did Adolf Hitler convince all of these people to go along with him and decide to exterminate the Jews? And I always said, well, there was just something in his campaign of propaganda that persuaded him to do that. And then more recently, people say, well, how did he persuade him? And I say, look around right now. Look what's happening all over the world right now, because it's happening again. The very same thing is happening again. And the question is, why are the Jews targeted like that? What is it about them that causes them to be targeted? Now they get into questions about the Palestinians and what they're going through. And it's a horrible situation. I was working with some Palestinians. I'm involved with an organization called 70 Nations Jerusalem. And we're working with United Arab Emirates and different countries, and of course Israel, because it's built in Israel. We were helping people in Gaza get medical care, get food, get supplies, and we were just getting ready to build our first clinic when suddenly October 7th happened. And of course that just derailed everything. And you look at what was going on in Palestine. The people, they have a horrible, horrible life, but the people that's making the life isn't Israel, it's Hamas. Hamas is what's making their life miserable. And that's what the evidence shows. And I can go into all the details of what all the evidence is, but as we began looking at all this information, because I was hearing these stories about this is what the Palestinians are experiencing, I said, okay, we need videos. And this was about 2003, 2004. I was doing a lot of work in Iraq. And basically working to stop the execution of minors in Iran at that. And so we said, we want to see what you have as evidence, but we'll take it to the Knesset and we'll show them. We'll say, this is what is going on in Israel. We would get these videos, and then we would look at the dates on the videos. And they said, look, they bombed this place. They bombed this place. And we would look at the dates on the videos, and it was right after they shot rockets into Israel. So it was retaliation by Israel. But when they tell you the story, they don't tell you that, and most people don't know enough to look. So this was being done at that time. It was being done by PLO before Hamas took power. This was being done by PLO and by the PA, and Hamas was involved, but they weren't the ones that were actually in control at that time. They were just a powerful organization causing a lot of trouble. So we looked at these and we said, okay, this looks like retaliation. Some of them were not dated, and we were able to look at the videos and say, well, this building here, we know when that was bombed, so we know what this thing was. Again, corresponds to the attack on Israel. They fire rockets into Israel. So I could never find any evidence that Israel was unilaterally attacking Gaza without provocation. I couldn't find any. We looked, and we planned to take it to the Knesset if we found it, but we didn't find any of it. Never found it. Then we looked a little bit more closely, and someone said, "Hey, look at this," and we found that you'd have the same person in one video supposedly being dead, in another video in a different location at a different time, same actors being killed. Now, apparently, whoever was filming these didn't realize that somebody would compare them side by side and say, wait a minute, these are the same people. So they were actually using the same actors to create these videos of all these atrocities that were occurring in Palestine. So we noticed that. And then we noticed we had people that were filming. You had films of people, all the dead people, supposedly as a result of the bombings and so on. And they would have their filming being done. And then there were some other people in the background who were filming not only that, but they were also filming the filming. In other words, they were filming the cameraman from behind. What they didn't know is that these cameras would stop, and the people who were supposedly dead would get up and start talking to each other, walking around, eating sandwiches. We've got it all on film. So then we said, okay, this is part of the same propaganda campaign that has been going on since the Grand Mufti in 1922. Same campaign that Adolf Hitler, same thing. And of course, Hamas grew directly out of his military base, and so did PLO and all these organizations over there. So you have a situation where you have people who are being told from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed, their existence is to kill Jews. That's all they live. That's what they're taught. That's what Hamas teaches them. And so that's the thinking. If you look at memory, MEMRI, if you look at a lot of their videos, Hillary Clinton helped with a lot of those. If you look at a lot of those videos, you can see all kinds of things that are really going on in the education within Palestine. So then you have the attack on October 7th, and then you have the Israel decides, okay, now we need to get rid of Hamas. And that is exactly what needs to happen. Late, should have happened a long time ago, but it didn't for a lot of reasons because Israel always had its hands tied. But the net result is Israel always looks like the bad guy in the eye of world opinion because they're the ones with the more power. They're the ones that can do the most damage. But stop and think about it for a second. Suppose we had a country on one of our borders that the government's objective is to destroy America. Suppose they came in one day and killed 1,500 of U.S. citizens, slaughtered them just like happened on October 7th. What would the United States do? We would go in there hard. We would go in there bombing everything that Israel's probably a lot worse, probably near the kindness. So again, when you look at what Israel's doing, it isn't that they're doing anything that is unusual for modern warfare. In fact, they're very subdued. You look at what happened in Syria and other countries where they've got 150,000 people targeted civilians. Look at Dresden, 250,000 people killed by British bombing. There's nothing new about this, but part of the campaign to destroy Israel is to accuse Israel of doing all these things. So, in essence, that's kind of in a nutshell what the article addresses. They go through all the evidence and address it from a more detailed standpoint.
People, you need to read this article. I don't care what preconceived notions you have that's harboring your brain. Okay, just look into it. It gives you great historical context from many angles. And something shouldn't be surprised to you. For example, why would the Nazis collaborate with Arabs? Very simple. Nothing unites multiple fractions like a common enemy. That's been true in history. Rather they think one is more inferior than the other, that's kind of secondary, but nothing unites groups like a common enemy. And sadly, in this situation, the common enemy is the Jew. Okay. That's just another thing. This didn't surprise me. I said, I bet, and this is me before being ignorant with the Arab world, think I'm studying it more. I bet Adolf Hitler had a talk with a couple of these Arab leaders about wiping off the Jews. I mean, thought about it, and guess what? I'm gonna prove right because nothing unites multiple groups. Rather they think one is inferior or useful idiot. I think it's secondary, doesn't matter as much. Nothing unites multiple people or gather, just like getting common enemy. Common friend, not as much. That could be a little convoluted, but common enemy. Oh, you hate them too? Oh, yeah, let's team up. Common goal. I'm using people, but this is far bigger than people. This is leaders, the nations, and they're influencing so many people just to commit genocides and ethnic cleansings and whatnot. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that. I mean that's what it is, pure and simple. And just to add a little bit of African perspective, South Africa is against Israel because they see them as an apartheid, pro-colonialist nation, and they're already suing them in court. It's not going to get anywhere, to be honest. It's sadly a joke. And John Fetterman, even Democrat senator, yes, that same John Fetterman who likes to wear his joggers to the White House, or not even the White House, yeah, the Capitol building. Yeah, that same John Fetterman was very critical of South Africa, and rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that they got rid of the apartheid system, but I think that's a false equivalency that is comparing to you are apartheid state because you are oppressing all the Palestinians. They putting their historical lens in there, and to be honest, I have to look into it pretty deeply. It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when you think about it too, within Israel, and I'm not referring to Palestine. I'm referring to Israel as we think of everything except Palestine. You've got 1.7 million Muslims. There are Muslims living there. They're in the Knesset, in the government. They're doctors. They're lawyers. They're very happy people. You talk to them, they go, "No, we don't have anything like apartheid here." I've seen many interviews from them, and they say the same thing. What Israel is being accused of simply isn't true, and it's spread through American universities in large part because of billions of dollars that poured into the universities from countries and people that hate Israel. And I first realized how powerful this group of people really is back in when I was with an organization called Stop Child Executions. We were working to stop the execution of minors in Iran, and we were a nonprofit organization established. We were working with a person named Nazi Jam, who was born in Iran but immigrated to Canada. Actually, she was Miss Canada and later became first runner-up Miss World. But she was very active in that arena. David Edabari, he worked with us too. A number of other people that were working in Iran trying to get it stopped. We were able to get a number of executions stopped by campaigning through the United Nations largely. But when it came time for us to open our bank account, and I won't mention the bank because they did finally come around, it took them forever to open a simple bank account. And after several months, I called them on the phone. I said, "What are you guys doing? Why have you not got this account open?" And they said, "Well, the problem is you have a celebrity on your board, and we're really nervous about having it." I said, "What are you talking about? Celebrities are on boards of organizations all the time." And he said, "Okay." He goes, I know it's not the truth. Tell me what's going on." He said, "Okay, let me talk to the powers that be." And this was their office, their main office. And he came back a little bit later and said, "Okay, we're going to tell you right up front. You are taking on the government of Iran. You're taking on basically the most powerful. At that time, they weren't quite as powerful as they are today. But you were taking on a very powerful. And we have billions and billions of dollars invested by Middle Eastern Arabs, and we are concerned of the effect that it will have on Iran." I said, "Okay, that's fine. So are you saying you won't open the account?" And he said, "Well, we haven't decided." I said, "Well, you better decide because we're going to run a full page story in the New York Times about how you guys refused to open an account and the reason you just gave me." So came back about 10 minutes later. "Okay, the account's open, ready to go." But the point that I realized at that time just how powerful this block is. Now it turns out that the vast majority of the people who were banking with them supported us. They liked what we were doing, so their fear was not real. But the power of the same nations that hate Israel has invested into American universities billions and billions of dollars and into our best universities. They were smart. They knew what to do. And of course, America's gullible like always, never knowing what's going on. We just, hey, great, all this money's coming in. Oh, they want this professor. They want that
I don't
professor.
mean
They
it's
want.
yeah, our I don't this is gonna be very spicy. Yeah, we like the dumb and not prostitute in a sexual sense. We prostitute in the money sense. Oh yeah, more money. Oh great. Yeah, yeah. I said, oh come on. This is how even China outsmarts us as well. But even though we're not talking about China, but this is how China outsmarts. Okay. Oh here, look, here's money. So okay, yeah. Okay, so forget
Right.
about principles, forget about what's right, forget about civil rights, all that. Oh, you got money, you're happy. You're like a child just happy to get milk in the bottle, and he just shuts up.
Mhm.
Not pay attention to anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. I just had to add
That,
that.
no, that's exactly what Americans see money. And the other thing is we have no concept of how other parts of the world live. We don't understand. We think that this whole dispute is over land in Palestine. It's got nothing to do with land. It's about a religious conflict that goes way back, 4,000 years, when, according to the Jewish history, the son of Abraham, Isaac, was supposed to be sacrificed on an altar. Okay, and then of course it was stopped at the last minute. Well, in Islam, they say that wasn't Isaac. They say that was, it doesn't say Ishmael, but it implies that it was Ishmael. And it follows from that, according to what's in the scripture, the person who was supposed to be sacrificed was the one who was supposed to get the birthright. So this is actually now with most Muslims that I know, and most Muslims like that's a bunch of old stuff. We don't really care about that anymore. But the problem is they don't realize that the radicalized Muslims, that is the core. That is a core of their faith. And so really to them, this is the fight between the birthrights, the birthright families. And they feel like, okay, there's 440 million of us in Arab, and that's the prophecy fulfilled that we would have all these descendants. You guys only have 13 million. What happened? Why are we so much bigger than you? Well, because we were supposed to get the birthright. So that is the kind of the root of the radicalized viewpoint. That is part of the root of the problem. And everybody thinks, oh, it's about money, it's about that. No, they don't care about it. They're ready to die for what they believe. They're happy to go to their grave. And we're not. We don't think that way. We value life differently. So that's the problem.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. And I'm not gonna pretend not to have all the answers, but this is what I've told people to know. This is go way beyond. Even if it was about land and money, that's some very minor part at best. That's like really like the very tip end of the iceberg. Not even forget about deep in there. You already uncover the whole iceberg. It's all about religious
Mm-hmm.
conflict and birthright issues that spawn for wife, and a lot of people they're very ignorant to no surprise. Oh, it's for the land and all that. No, no. It goes much deeper than land. And then this person was shocked when I educated about Hamas and all of that. So no. If you think Hamas is good, I personally don't even want to talk to you because you're just supporting terrorism, anti-Semitism as much as a Nazi. No, by equivalent, you're a Nazi. Okay. And I'm not trying to defame you or anything, but I just want you to understand happy sympathy for the Palestinians is a different thing altogether. Don't lump the two together and don't even think I'm lumping these two together. It's very irresponsible. It's simplistic and it's downright deceitful. And yeah, no, a lot of people are ignorant. They just go with the mainstream media, and sadly, the media narrative on war, the narrative war. That's another war that's happening. The narrative war, which one's dominant, especially social media and traditional media. Yeah, traditional media. I'm talking cable. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And is in Israel look like they're not doing so well on that front. But you already said there's already a lot of money poured into it. That makes sense. So I wonder how they're getting. So that's be money from these groups that are anti-Semitic. I won't be surprised. Iran has something to do with that. And yeah, those radical groups are very powerful. Sadly, American, we underestimate that. And for your bank to almost not open, it was more political pressure more than anything by those very
Correct.
like the powerful. So it wasn't anything to do with it wasn't pop. He wasn't controversial. He was controversial only to that probably one or just a small group maybe that just couldn't just stand you. But yet the 99% was like, oh, you're doing great work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sure your obstacle was political more than anything for sure, based on what you told me. And you threatened with the New York Times. New York Times still got some clout after all. Good. Not threatened. You had to yeah, hold their feet to the fire. You wasn't doing anything like what? Finding, I don't know, throwing some kind of pesticide that only attacks the Arab DNA. I'm sure we could make weapons like that. The human mind is very sick. So yeah, I'm sure we could make something like that. Or something that just attacks only the Jew DNA or something like that. Okay, it's crazy. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to give the Pentagon. I'm sure the Pentagon. Some of these people already got the crazy ideas. I don't want to. I don't want to
So
spark.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure
Yeah, as I'm yeah, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. The other thing I'm throwing that. So yeah, and the question that I got is, and this is just me trying to think of it outside of the box, and sometimes it's not always welcome. Is it? I mean, we already talked about the bombing and all of that. Why it's so hard not to have so much collateral damage,
right.
right? Hamas really do use them as shields. It's been proven over and over again. The truth repeats itself. If we could just come up with just, I don't know, a film series is how much times have used other civilians. That's why Israel, they have accidentally shot even their own because they've used even other people's shields. And you already talk about how they point the guns to the head or whatever. As if you dare move, well, you're gonna die. And someone's just say you're gonna die by Israel, or you're gonna die by me. Either way, you're screwed. And that's why a lot of them don't see hope. And so I understand that. And my heart goes out to them, really. So is it possible for Israel just to have a more covert operation, like a stealth operation if possible, just to try to sneak? Because we already discovered their tunnel, which is impressive to say the least. The thing is, a lot of people underestimate about Hamas is that they are very creative and resourceful. They don't need the most money in the world. They have a tunnel network that's been built for decades. And yeah, so this makes sense. I said they must have some kind of underground tunnel. They bombing over top, yet they're not putting the desert. They must have an underground network. I mean, it makes sense. Now go ahead before I ramble on.
Well, one thing that Israel has talked about is flooding the tunnels, and flooding the tunnels and then withdrawing the water, and that would force everybody out. But one of the things that I have advocated is it's as old as history itself, and I think it's a very effective way to do it. Now, I'm not. I've tried to stay out of whether or not Israel is bombing. Um, I do know that they are giving people warnings, telling them to get out, and so on. I do know that Hamas is refusing to let them go. In terms of warfare, they are doing everything in compliance with the Geneva Convention. I can tell you that. I know the Convention. I know the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They are in compliance despite all these allegations of war crimes and everything else. But it is tragic because people are dying, and we don't want that to happen. We want to do it in a way that doesn't. What I'm advocating is now that the tough part, now that the worst part is done, what Israel needs to do is go back to the old system used thousands of years ago, which is a reward system, and get the Palestinian people to overthrow their own government. So Israel doesn't have to be in there with bombs. They can help and they can go in there and help keep the peace, but give rewards to people who provide information leading to the arrest and conviction of everyone involved in October 7th. And so $10,000 to a Palestinian family would be huge. It would be huge. And so many of them now are putting out videos. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but a lot of Palestinians are putting out videos saying, please finish the job, get rid of Hamas, get them out of here. We don't want them, right? It was a totalitarian regime of the worst kind. You say the wrong thing and they'll kill you. And horrible, horrible government. And America, the world saw it for the first time on October 7th, really how bad they are. I've known this for decades, but you can't convince anybody of it until they actually see it firsthand. The reaction around the world, it was strange because some people praised, including members of the UN, some of the UN facilities. In fact, Iran chaired the Human Rights Forum in 2023, November 2023, Iran, the worst human rights countries in the world. So you look at that and you go, what on earth has gone on? The United Nations have been hijacked. They've been hijacked by these crazy people. And I think it's in part because the people that have morals and hold the Western values have not been firm. They've tried over and over and over again to try to placate these countries. If we give them a lot of money, they'll become nice. They don't understand you're dealing with the fanaticism, a religious fanaticism that doesn't respond to that. But so what I've advocated is, okay, let's change the tenor of the war now. Let's start rewarding the people. Let's help rebuild. Let's help them rebuild their cities. Let's help them. Let's give college scholarships to the Palestinian kids that want to come to other parts of the world and get education. Let's give them medical care. Let's give them what they really need. And that's something that Israel and the United States and the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia would probably all be involved. There's, what's going to happen after Hamas is destroyed? Everybody's saying, okay, we're going to go to a two-party state. What are we going to do? I think what needs to happen, at least temporarily, at least for a decade, there needs to be a provisional government like they did in Germany after World War II. And maybe several nations will participate to make sure that everything is being done right, and you don't have a lot of conflict. I would have previously, I would have said I'd like to see Jordan on that panel. At the moment, I would not, because Jordan has taken some positions with respect to this that disappointed me, and especially Queen Rania. I was really expecting to see a lot more from her, because she has always been compassionate toward the Jews, and her husband, they donated money to the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and they were always tried to build those relationships. But when this happened, they just kind of flipped, and they were very vocal against ISIS. But when it came to Hamas, and I tried to think, why would that be? I wondered if, I do know that her family is from Palestine, so I thought maybe there's a concern there. I don't know why that happened, but I would like to see the United Arab Emirates. I'd like to see Saudi Arabia. I'd like to see the United States, maybe another European country, all come in and kind of help Palestine rebuild, and do it with a provisional government. That's what I think is needed. And
Already answered two of my questions because I was going to get to that about you already talked about how what Israel could do to raise Palestine living standards, raise their college opportunities and things like that, and healthcare. I mean, you already nailed that one right in the head. What the Palestinians do to Israel is vote off their government. The thing is, people need to realize that a lot of these tyrannical people, some of them, to be quite frank, are elected democratically. Hamas was elected democratically. Hitler was elected democratically. So sometimes democracy brings out radical people. This is why people have to be educated. You already touched on colleges and having people, giving incentives for that. So you already answered two of my questions. It was gonna be later, but hey, it's fine. You already answered them for me, so I'm not gonna complain about that. I think I was interrupting what you were saying. I just wanted to just say that you already answered just two of my questions in that statement.
one of the things that I had proposed, and this was way
Oh,
before
I'm sorry. I
October
got another
7th.
question about Jordan.
Oh,
Do
go
you
ahead.
think Queen Raina was playing politics? You think she's just tiptoeing not to, cause certain fits? Because some people could say things publicly. It might not be the most moral thing, to be quite frank. But you think she's just playing politics so she won't, I don't know, cause extra tensions, maybe?
I think that may be part of it, um, because millions of people within Jordan subscribe to the view that Israel should be destroyed, and they have had trouble with the radical groups in Jordan before, and I think that's probably a large part of it. I really expected for her to get up, and when she said that Israel bombing Gaza is no different than Hamas coming in and butchering the 1,200 people. I just thought this is absurd. I mean, first of all, to set a bunch of children on fire, to decapitate them, to cut off their legs, to do all these things, that is the mens rea of murder. In criminal law, we have a phrase called mens rea. That can only be described as the mentality of murder. Israel bombing Gaza is not about murder. It's about trying to eliminate Hamas. It's not. It's a totally different. It's not even. Doesn't even compute. And then when you look at all these other countries that have engaged, Syria. How many people were killed in Syria? Something like 250,000, and in Yemen another 150,000, and no one says a word. No one, Ukraine. I mean, yeah, you didn't have protests all over the place. You had the country stepping in to help the Ukrainians, but Putin, there 500,000 people have been killed, and what's happening? No protests. The streets were empty. Nobody's protest. Israel gets involved in all the protests, and again, it gets back to that ancient religious dispute, is what I believe.
Yeah, I just think the evil groups they just know where to dump their money. They have targeted, they have Harvard, MIT, like
Yeah,
that. Those are the more famous ones. I'm sure all the universities are part of it as well. I'm sure it's a large area. That's why it's spread out like wildfire. These
yeah.
for Palestine and even certain of them. They won't say it directly some of them, but some was like, oh, the Jews are getting what they deserve for what they did and blah blah blah. I said, listen, no, it's not that simple. I almost got to arguing one stupid girl that she clearly didn't know what she was talking about. the justice for Palestine. I said, do you know what justice even means? I don't know. I just know that Israel did them wrong. I said, first of all, you're very ignorant. You're very, very ignorant. And I'm not going to support your movement. Just based on your idiotic statement, I'm not going to support your movement. So you want the genocide, you want the colonizers? Excuse me, colonizing? Do you even know how this thing even started? No. Then shut up and go back to college and study your history.
Yeah.
Oh God, no! I'm in New York City. It's well spread at this point. I bumped to a few to give me the flyer, and I would tear one of them up right in front of them. So no, I'm not. I am not pro. I am not. Look, I'm pro two state. All right, it's as simple as that. Just shut up with that. I'm anti-Hamas, and I'm not for Benjamin Netanyahu. All right, that's just my opinion. Am I going to condemn all the nation because of those groups or crazy leaders? No,
Mm-hmm.
because the innocents, they're always a totally different case. But I'm not gonna go there with that. Yeah, and I almost got into an argument with one of the idiot students. Apparently, they got too much free time in their hands.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything productive. Like they did back then when I read one person's book that used to debate back then. You even said that in the previous episode. There you go, little plug in episode 129. Check it out. All on DW Duke. There you go, shameless plug-in. Go back to that. All right, and so it's just debate all night, break night, go to bars and all of that. Yep. And there's books that confirm what you're saying. So even though yours is anecdotal, but there's books that confirm that anecdote is true, and I'm pretty sure it's widespread. But that's besides the point. Now today, college kids, once they hear something from social media, and social media has pushed a lot of the propaganda too. That's a big one. Like TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, all the social media junk that they push mostly. They did this. Oh, Israel's bombing everything. They wiping out Gaza off the map. Or I don't hear that much about Hamas. So that's already imbalanced reporting. Just looking at the headlines where they're focusing, and I don't have to study that deep to know that there is an imbalance. So I do agree there is a strong bias, and about the UN, which I want to talk about. Yeah, someone from Iran, chair of human rights. It's like putting a pig to be president of the United States. It's just that absurd. We
It
elected
is.
put a pig to be the president. Do you have a statement, Mr. Pig? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
It knows put a lipstick. Okay, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you think of the insurrection? You can just hear just a bunch of oink. Unless a person
Yeah.
knows how to speak pig, they could translate that, but it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And I personally think the UN is declining. You talked about that a bit before we recorded, but the UN is in such a decline because, and I'm just gonna throw in, well, it's not just with this whole conflict, even with Ukraine and Russia, nothing was essentially done.
Mm-hmm.
Now African nations are throwing out these forces. I mean, UN
Mm-hmm.
is losing influence, I'll say, globally. I mean, authoritarian nations already been rebuked or even controlling them from distance. I said,
Mm-hmm.
no, not coming to our country. You could go do your crap over there, but we need you, yeah, yeah, the someone from Iran who is the chair of human rights, and that's a very oppressive country. And yeah, that's a joke. I can
Mm-hmm.
understand if he was very, but if he was brave and challenging the Ayatollah, he would be killed.
Yeah.
So he's either acting really, really good or he's just really, and this is why I personally think, he's just the extension of the Iranians' theocratic oppression, which is very laughable, really. They need to get that one out. They need to get that person out. I don't know. You could put someone from Israel, even India. I'll even accept India with that. And yeah, that's corruption. I don't know. They vote these people in. I forget about the whole UN process because to me, I don't take them very seriously. They've lost a lot of respect. They have
Mm-hmm.
lost credibility, and I mean, most Russia don't take them seriously. Sometimes the U.S. don't take them seriously. Veto. Anything we don't like, veto. Russia can do the same thing. Oh, okay. Anything that's gonna attack me? Oh, veto China, veto France. Oh no, you're gonna do something with Africa that's gonna reduce my influence. Don't veto. Forget about votes. Forget about the rest of the near. How many countries are there? I know it's more than 190. Forget about their votes.
When the United Nations first began, it was a brilliant concept. And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, written in 1948, translated into 500 languages, serves as the model for most countries. This is how we should treat our people. This is how we should treat other people. But they've drifted so far away from that. It's not recognizable as an entity anymore. I mean, using a UN allowing their facilities to be used by Hamas to attack Israel. I mean, we've got that documented. One of the IDF soldiers was killed. They allowed one of their ambulances to be used to parade his body back all over Gaza. This is back in 2005, and we see that, and I said, man, the UN is not what it used to be. It's just not. It's a very corrupt organization, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous because so many people think it's such a great organization.
Oh no, absolutely. I'll say my first example when I started reading into this. Of course, I was too young to even care when the whole Rwanda massacre.
Oh yeah.
That's also, oh my goodness, why are people trust this organization again? But I'll just say the decline is, I would say, far greater today than he was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a couple African nations are already throwing them out. Nope, get out, country, get out, country. We don't need you. We can do things our own. Get out, 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 out. They're getting kicked out. The Peace Corps and I think other forces that was deployed by the UN. No, they're getting thrown out. Yeah, so you need to restore credibility. You start doing some tough things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just tippy toe and cave into corruption. I mean, they did great work. I don't know. As of now, I don't know. They're gonna have to do a lot of work. It's very hard to repair a reputation. It's gonna take decades. Just to restore.
It's going way down. Some new evidence was presented yesterday in front of the Knesset about things that's happening in the UN. That's really shocking. I mean, when you think about it, what the UN is doing is just basically giving these countries carte blanche to attack Israel. And that's essentially the attitude you're getting out of the United Nations. Israel deserves it. Same old story. They deserve it. That's the mentality. That's what they teach, and it's very destructive.
I think the last time I checked the vote for a ceasefire, I think 153 countries support that.
Yep.
That's definitely majority of 190, even 200. I'll say,
That's
okay,
right.
it's a bunch of countries, yeah. So that's already about 70, 80%, depending what you use. So that's still the majority, regardless.
Yep.
Yeah,
And stopping
I
stopping.
will want a ceasefire only when Hamas is done. You can't have
Yeah.
ceasefire when Hamas is continuing to do their thing. I mean, I'm happy that the PLO's got a more moderate compared to the past because they were another group. I said I had to be educated with PLO because my knowledge was iffy prior to this article about the PLO. As I see that they're moderate today, they're the more rational ones will work with Israel. I know back then that wasn't the case because the PLO was just as aggressive with
Yeah, the Munich Olympic Games, those Israeli athletes, that was PLO. I mean, they had the same mantra as everybody else, but Abbas changed a lot of that. He decided to be a little more peaceful. My personal feeling is that it's a can of worms. I don't think the PA, PLO, any of them should be involved in the government in Gaza, at least not for the time. And a lot of people say, "No, let's have the PA do it." To me, that would be a non-starter. That's taking us backwards. To show our lack of understanding, we had given Iran $6 billion, and it hadn't even been released to them yet. When on October 7th they financed the attack in Israel. And our thinking is always, oh, if we're really nice to them, if we're really good to them, they'll come around to our way of thinking. That proves to you that it won't. They won't. That it doesn't work.
that's one of the few things I'll say I agree with the Republicans. They just give money to these countries. That's all, you stupid American. You give me welfare and I'll continue to screw you over. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't, that's like trying to bow down to a snake. The snake is still going to bite you when it gets the opportunity. A snake is a snake. Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's a beautiful snake, a snake that shed, and its core and its DNA, the snake. You just can't. You could just kill the damn thing. Yeah, I know it's barbaric, but you can't trust a snake. That's the main point. You just can't trust the snake. And this is one I really, really strongly disagree with the Democrats. I think my foreign policy has leaned, I'll say, to the center right at this point when it comes to some issues. Yeah, it's scary where we at as a country. This hate, ignorance, it's just brewing right back up because I mean to say to the universities, yeah, they have done such a bad job, and I'm actually happy that they clamp it down, and even the donors are saying, "Whoa, whoa, 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 we're not supporting these universities no more because
Yeah,
of this been brewing up."
yeah.
And I love one. I like one Republican commentator. I think it was with Ashley Davis. Who used to work in the George W. Bush administration. Didn't like the president, by the way, but she said such a profound point. Said really those colleges are beholden to the donor, not even the president. The president's more of the figurehead. There's a face, yeah, and it's true. Yeah, these billionaire donors, and some just a screw it. I'm not supporting these universities anymore. Nope, it's happened. Like Bill Ackman, now he's more of a centrist. He used to support Democrats wholeheartedly. He's like, oh, screw this.
October 7 was a wake up call. As horrible it was a wake up call for a lot of Americans. And some people are still asleep, but a lot of people awake. And some of the universities have done a really good job. Michigan, the students were going to have that vote to divest from Israel, and the president of the university shut it down. So we're not going to. He told the student government, "You cannot have that vote," and so they didn't. And then at the same time, they opened up a new center to teach about anti-Semitism. Now, that was Michigan's response to October 7th. So some of the schools, and of course, Michigan just won the national championship. So that's why I got my Michigan shirt on today.
I was gonna ask about that. So did Michigan win some? They did. I mean, they're winning in the whole preserving integrity of higher university. I mean, of higher ed.
Yeah,
Say the same thing for Harvard. Harvard's went downhill. Oof, I gotta say, Harvard's declined. Someone's declined.
it's sad. It's pretty sad. I had a lot of professors up there. Just they're devastated. They think this is not the university that I supported 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's actually quite sad. I'm not gonna cheer on this. Like it's a good thing. It's sad. It's a wake up call, and they need to restore reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I really have a neutral opinion on Claudia and Gay. I think that was more of a distraction. Aside to me, it was more of like a circus, a story more than anything. Even though she should have done more to clamp on I would say
Yeah.
anti-Semitism. Say no, you got a debate about why in that, but to have protests, some of them turn to riots. Quite frankly, yeah, some of them are riots. I'm tired of
Yeah.
just using protests. No, once you're shaking gates, damaging property, bombing things, it's a riot.
Yeah, forcing the Jewish students to hide in a locker,
Yeah, I've
because
saw a couple of social media clips. I said that's horrendous.
I know, it's unbelievable.
No, it really is. It really is unbelievable. But pray to the Lord that He guides me to the right path and just guide this country back to the right path. We what students should be doing is having debate, look into this issue, and come up with ideas, and and support nonprofit work like you've been doing. Some even impact Arab lives too. Because no one could just say, "Oh, DW Duke is Islamophobic." I haven't heard a single thing that suggests that. If anything you done work that even impact Arab lives, innocent Arab lives are not radicalized, of course.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying. The Wahhabisms and the terrorist groups. We are just against terrorists. Is that hard for you to comprehend? Just
yeah.
against terrorists, not against Muslims. Completely different. Okay,
Hmm.
that's Islamophobic. If I say all Muslims are bad, okay, that's an easy Islamophobic statement. No, I met some wonderful Muslim people.
Hmm.
I've talked to a couple of them, and
Yeah,
speak a lot. There's a good amount of them down support the terrorist stuff. I could just say that right now, and I would like actually more Muslims, Arabs to be in this show, so I can have more representation and have a discussion, and just probably see it hang on and say, oh yeah, I didn't see it that way. Like aha moments, but I can't force people to come. I can't, put a virtual gun right through the screen. So you better come to the podcast. I can't do that, and I'm actually heck glad I can't. People want to come to the show. I really recommend it because this is not an extension to either political party or either cable news network or whatever. I made fun of Fox. I was more of a cheap jab, more of a joking jab than anything. Even though I gotta admit, I do like Greg Guthrie. He's one of the few things I watch on Fox for entertainment. Everybody else is insufferable, in my opinion. Maybe except for Brett Baer. Brett Baer is probably one of the more fair people in there. All right, enough of me commenting on Fox. It's not about that. So before I go off that deep tangent, yeah, I think we already got a lot through that article. I mean, we already like speed. We already just went through this A lot of importance of the article, but really check it out. Form your own opinions. I'm going to give you the source itself. If you think we're skeptical, you think you read previous information, at least read the article yourself. So it's like, no, you're just fake. I didn't forget you. You're just a clown. I can't take you very seriously. Not everyone is worth a debate. Some people are just clowns. Any new projects that are going on? I remember last time we talked that you was working on Because I'm Black production. How was that going?
Well, we've got that into a screenplay. The book should be out now in a couple of weeks. We just finished. I just saw the cover that was sent to us. And that book, I don't remember what the topic was. It's about Jesse Washington, the young man who, at the age of 17 years, was lynched in Waco, Texas, back in 1916. We took that. I wrote that book, co-authored it with a young man from Nigeria. He had gotten a bachelor's in English literature in Nigeria, went on some graduate work, and then he recently enrolled at the Arizona State, where he's working on a master's in English literature. But his focus was the slave trade, blacks in America, and what they experienced during the Jim Crow era. So we wrote that book together, and we focused heavily on what went on during the trial. We looked at the evidence, and I think that's what's so important for the people to really see. And again, this is not intended to be a basis for now jumping on some bandwagon, rioting, and everything else, saying, "Oh, this is the way black people treated." No, we have to look at the truth. We have to be honest. We have to look at the good. We have to look at the bad. Part of the reason that we're like we're wound up so tight in America is because we tried. Our educational system tried to suppress a lot of information, and the backlash then has become, now there's a lot of false information, a lot of information that isn't even correct, that people are trying to saturate. And if you question it, then you're somehow racist. And it's the extremes. And so we have to get that balance. We have to look at the evidence. We have to say, this is what happened. This should not have happened. This is what was wrong, and go for what Martin Luther King advocated, which is a colorblind society. That, I believe, is what we should be working for, not the Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. You know what I mean.
Uh,
A different
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I don't support Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, so don't worry. You have allied me in that one for sure. Yeah, I'm more with the Martin Luther King. Yeah, no, they're more like, yeah, go ahead.
He was a great man, and a lot of people say, "Oh, he wasn't tough enough." He was. He did exactly what we needed at that time.
Yeah,
And instead of
labels a terrorist, Martin Luther King, the FBI labels him terrorist. I guess they want
yeah,
to do real good and labels a terrorist. Yeah, I know a couple of people, even that wasn't as famous. Martin Luther King was labeled as, oh, this person's a terrorist. So, yeah, I mean, FBI, I have some opinions about them. I'm not gonna go that deep, but yeah, I'm not in the Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton camp. I'm trying to be more the Martin Luther King camp, and anyone who really wants to fix racism, even though some of them may have misguided view doesn't offend me. What really ticks me off, it's trying to just throw racism just blatantly at everybody, and just throw a term that I think we both are allergic to, systemic racism. That nonsense. That I think just ugh. Okay. So you're just
yeah,
saying all of America's racist, and you just disregarded the people who are trying to fight with you and sympathize you. Got it. Great. Is there some remnants of that? Yeah, like redlining and all that. Yeah, there's remnants of that, and those things should be corrected.
sure. But we should be focusing on all of the good things that we've done,
Right.
and all of the good steps that we're taking, and say, how can we build on it, rather than trying to tear the whole system down and say this is all evil, because it's really not. It's simply not. I mean, yes, we had a rocky start, but so did the rest of the world. We came along into humanity faster than most other nations of the world. We have rights that black people have all the. I mean, the Civil Rights Act of '64. I would go down the line and name, bill after bill after bill that passed that really helped the minorities. And what we need to be doing is focusing on those great accomplishments and say, how can we expand those? How can we celebrate those instead of writing? Well, I won't get into all that, but instead of trying to cause more friction and division today, which is what some politicians and academicians are trying to do.
Yeah, and even trying to erase history, which is a big no. I mean, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to hear our extended commentary and our discussion, that go back to episode 129 from the beginning. Skip the first 3.5 minutes, go straight to that. I'll put that in the link. was to hear that lengthy thing. Trust me, we're both busy people. As much as we love to regurgitate that, we got better things to do. So let's use the technology of history. Okay, our brief little humble history. Go back to episode 129. It's audio only. Unfortunately, I was kind of afraid to do a video back then, but now I'm more confident now. So that's my growth. Yeah, it's a little pat on back from me. Is it self-serving? It's a little selfish. Yeah, I gotta praise myself sometimes. Okay, give me a break. I can't be humble all the time. Yeah. So go back to episode 129. Check that out. This is why he's back, because he's a worthy, very worthy guest. That, trust me, I don't call everybody back. I don't call everybody back that I don't think is going to have a very great discussion. Do I need to agree? No, no, no. If I bring everybody I agree, I'm a communist. Okay. I'm a communist. Okay, I want this person. Okay, okay. Okay. You like New York? Okay, come on. Let's form a New York group. Oh, you hate California? Oh, yeah, you're in my group. Oh, forget DW2. He's Californian. East Coast, West Coast beef. Just like the rappers and all that. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Freedom is a little chaotic sometimes. Let's be clear. It's very muddled, and it's good for that it's muddled. It's not just like, okay, only whites over here, blacks over here, Latinos over there. No, that's segregation. Hello, you organize them neatly. It's segregation. So that's all I'm gonna say about that before I go to the deep end. So, right, any projects besides I am because I'm black?
Oh, just other products in the work. Of course, racism awareness. That was put on hold a little bit because of some teacher strikes. We had kept, and the publisher doesn't want it to come out while the strikes are going on. So I think we're past the strikes. First there was a teacher strike, and then there was the staff member strike and so on. But that'll be out shortly. Then another one called situational awareness. I wrote that with David Kahn, the chief U.S. instructor for Israeli Krav Maga. And what that does, it teaches people you're walking down the street, what to look for, how to always be alert, how to watch for danger, in different, wide different scenarios. So that's I think that'll be a book that
and let me not forget, since we talk about anti-Semitism, not without a fight as well. There's a little re-promotion of that. Do I want to keep saying these kind of do I want to keep plugging these products? Personally, no. But since I think America has caught dementia with what is anti-Semitism, get out without a fight. I was like, oh, you've done that before. Well, I get it. This is a meta trend, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Let's
I had no idea that as how vast it was in the United States until what I've seen in the past few months. Anti-Semitism. I had no idea. I knew it was other parts of the world, but I didn't know, not this much.
Yeah, sadly, based on certain people I talked to, I'm just surprised it took this long to bubble up. That's the only thing. I'm just shocked at the when, but I'm not surprised it was going to happen. It was a matter for when for me. I was like, yeah, a lot of these people are ignorant, and ignorant could breed hate, especially if they receive a lot of misinformation. And now we got social media, which could be used for good, but some of the stuff they promote, it could be, it's sadly a major source of misinformation, and even traditional media as well, because they promote a certain narrative. So I'm not surprised. All you gotta do is just keep playing those horrible images. Like you said, it was fabricated evidence that what they did, all the dead bodies, the same people as recycled the quote unquote dead bodies, and they got up and ate a sandwich. Oh, that would have actually. I when I saw one of the videos that that's I freaking just yelled at the TV and just
Oh, you saw one of those.
yeah, I
You
saw.
saw one of those.
Yeah, I connected this by social media, TV, and I was just pissed. I said, you know how many people's falling for this? What the actual hell? I said, they just got back up, eat the sandwiches. I said, this is propaganda. And wow, thank God I could pick that up quickly. Even at the beginning, I was just, oh my God, they're really dead bodies. No, no. So wow, you gotta be careful even with video people. They can be fabricated. There's even AI distortion as well, which could definitely increase the fabricated, tainted evidence or false evidence.
The famous Reuters guy who was caught, digitally altering photographs to make it look like Israel was involved in war crimes in 2005, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his last name was Hodge, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Hodge. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, I read. Okay, good. I have underestimated my memory capacity there. Yeah, I had to read it 3 times to just make sure I'm trying to absorb as much as I can with that, because you gave a lot of stuff. Oh, and the plugin. Go to Aish.com. I'm gonna give you the link right here to read this article, so you could definitely combat against misinformation, and for once stop giving yourself the stupid pass, if you will. Read this, become smart, and have a and this is not a pro even though it comes from a Israel publication, but believe it or not, this is not about wiping out. This is not a Zionist propaganda. Zionist, that does exist, but death to all the Arabs. But it's not
Yeah,
about.
the article was originally published in an Iranian newspaper.
Oh,
So yeah, it was originally way back in when I first wrote it in about 2007. This is a modified version, it's been elaborated, but it was originally published by an Iranian newspaper.
you see, so original source was even there. But see, now just I learn something new every day. So this is why he's back. I'm not just saying it just to blow smoke and kiss his butt. No, this is my compliments are either rich or I rarely just give a fake compliment, but you will know my face starts looking really funny about it. Oh yeah, DW Duke is quite smart. Oh.
We talk about that in our book, situational awareness, the face and how it and someone's not.
I mean, I could cover my face well, but if it's right at the spot, it's like, oh no, I couldn't. I have to be prepared at least 10 minutes before the thing, which it's not a good trait. I'll be honest, but yeah, if I've tried to do around the spot, oh yeah, yeah, people are not stupid. So okay, I think I'm definitely went over time more than I thought, but it was is there anything else you want to add before I really wrap this up?
I don't think so. It's always a pleasure to be here and chat with you. We have good conversations. I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I really enjoy. I actually gain knowledge, and it's one of the few conversations I actually feel come out smarter, more empowered. Even some of the subtle things I didn't understand, and now it's been sharpened. So I really do appreciate that. Listeners, I really hope you do appreciate this as well, because I'm gonna be honest, not all guests are equal. I'm just gonna be honest, and it's not by race or height or gender. It's just by how it meshes with this podcast. It could be good for a cook show or a kid show, something like that. This is about politics, technology, and random stuff. And this is an adult kind of podcast, so it's not for everybody. Okay. And I did got a couple of guest requests. Oh, this one's teaching cooking and all that. I said, nope, this is wrong podcast. Great expertise, very valuable, just not for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about cooking unless I have a deep cultural history to it. If you could spin it with a historical, or even to on policies regarding food, and yeah. But if it's just about lifestyle and all that, no, not really. Not good for this podcast. So, and I'm gonna say this to the agencies out there because I've been getting a lot of emails. Do not send me direct email regarding your guests. A lot of you are sham, some of you are non-responsive. You either join Pop Match or some other pod matchmaking site, or I just won't accept you. I don't care how great the guest sounds, because I don't want spam and hijackers coming to my podcast. So that's all I have to say. I already caught a few of them, and they were phony as heck. So alrighty then. Let me do the usual YouTuber Rumbler thing. Like, comment, share, subscribe for YouTubers, or follow for Rumble. And if you listen to this through Apple Podcasts, give a review, preferably 5 stars. If not, just give a reason why I got a 4 star. Maybe I ramble too much, or maybe you just can't stand my voice. Whatever your reason is, just put it down. I'm a grown man and I have enough confidence just to take that. People just call me far worse in the internet, so I will be okay. I'm not a snowflake. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. And again, follow his work. I'm gonna put many of his websites, not just the products he's pushing, but even social medias and whatever. I had to really dig that back up. So they're gonna be in the link in the description. And if it's not ready yet, they're not ready because strikes, they happen, they delay a lot of work, and strikes are important. I don't want to dismiss them. Strikes need to happen because teachers are they continue to be screwed with the system. So that's all I'm going to say about that. All righty. So from whenever you listen to this podcast, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.